Good morning, guys, and welcome back to my channel. So for the most part, you guys are watching the first drawing that is going to be posted on this channel. I realized in my last video I said I was going to be doing storytelling in my artwork, and I learned right quick that that is something that I need to work on. I've gotten very comfortable with my drawings, as I said before, and I need to shake off the rust is what I really need to do. It's been about 4 months since I've sat down and drew something from start to finish. That's essentially why I'm posting this video and not something a little bit more extravagant, I suppose. So for the most part, I believe like this drawing also goes over a couple of things that I want to discuss and show you guys. It took me roughly about 30 minutes to draw this, and this is just something out of my head. There was no reference photo and not based off anyone. It's just something where I've gotten extremely comfortable to draw this particular character or look like this particular character in the same position, expression, just pretty much everything that I've been drawing for the last couple of days has revolved around this character. I guess the closest thing to a reference is the comic that I've been, I guess, working on. It's more of like, you know, if I have time, I'll work on it kind of thing. It's not something I'm really pushing for. So this is just one of the characters. Either way, this drawing can help me explain a few things that I need to work on, as well as maybe something you guys can also relate to of like the things that you guys need to work on. So one being like this person is an extremely generic person. Like when I was drawing this character, like I knew right off the bat it was gonna be like a, you know, no special features ordeal. So like no exaggerated features or whatsoever. Like it's just the way that, you know, I can comfortably visualize a human being. I really want to break that habit, because if this is the only form of a human being that I can show, then, or I can even comprehend, then, you know, any other character I decide to draw after that, they're all just going to look like clones of each other. Like if you can't characterize or exaggerate certain features of people and still see that they're people, right? Whenever you're creating a character, like everything else is just going to be cloning after that. So that's definitely something I would like to be able to work on. As well as like exaggerating the expression. I realize in this drawing, like has like a very subtle expression, and it's always good to learn how to emphasize those expressions. People can relate to things, and you can get across points a lot better when you emphasize, you know, whether or not you're angry or happy or sad, right, or ecstatic. So for the most part, it's been pretty much just not trying to overthink it when I was drawing this. In order to break myself into the drawing habit, I've been really taking on the KISS rule, which is just keep it stupid simple, right? Like you don't want to overthink things. The more that you overthink things, the harder it is going to be to actually finish something. If I would have pursued the storytelling aspect in this drawing, it would have been overwhelming for me, and I wouldn't have been able to comprehend everything that's going on and all the key points that are required to actually tell the full story. Everything from like a setting to, you know, what is the actual interaction between this character and something else, and provide some sort of speculation onto like how this character has ended up in this situation. So like these are some key components that you might want to think of when trying to tell a story. I realize the how is more of like a speculation on the viewer's portion of it. It can be hard to show, you know, the backstory of the illustration within the illustration, if you guys get that. Like for an example, you know, someone's tripping, right? And if you don't show how they're tripping, then that leaves a speculation. Okay, well, how is someone tripping in this situation? And ultimately, that's left up to the viewer on how they ended up tripping. So for the most part, like I said, I just didn't want to overthink it. I just needed to get something out there, break off the rust, get back on the horse kind of thing, and see where it kind of goes. I was trying to draw a few situations, like someone trying to buy something from a merchant or something like that, and I just couldn't get everything in the way I wanted it to, mainly because like the camera is limiting for viewing purposes, and I didn't really know what the theme of it was going to be, or I guess like the background. Like I guess, you know, it'd be like a merchant, but I was hoping to go for something a little bit more medieval, so it'd be like a guy at a stand and another person was like buying something from them. But then I always found like I needed to have like the subtle details to make it unique as well. So trying to come up with those subtle details plus keep the main idea and make it all coalesce just became overwhelming. And like those types of things I need to really like break my brain into, because it's a whole creative thinking pattern that you're trying to work in, and it makes it very difficult. It's not like, you know, 1 + 1 = 2. It's like there is no right or wrong answer, just how confident are you in it, right? And as soon as you start losing that confidence, everything starts to go to shit. Like, it just all starts to fall apart. And, you know, on one side of the page, since you're feeling so confident, it looks great. And then the other side of the page, you're starting to lose that mental image that you had, and then it starts to look sloppy, and then your confidence starts to lack because you're like, shit, I need to keep up with everything. And it's just, again, it's overwhelming. The other thing I love about this drawing is that it's a prime example of I just needed 2 tools to complete it. It's not like I needed to go out and buy the most expensive thing to get something that I can be happy with. The only thing that I used during this drawing was a mechanical pencil and a kneaded eraser. I tried my best to avoid using the eraser on the back of the mechanical pencil because it leaves those little rubbery, I guess, strings behind. I don't know what you'd call them. Or the rubbery burrs, I guess. So it just makes it a little bit more cleaner. And with the kneaded eraser, it doesn't push around the graphite and come up with those little rubber burrs. It picks up the graphite. So if I really want to, I can make things duller, or I can completely erase them. It's not, you know, if I'm using the eraser, it's completely going away. Which I find anytime you use like a white or pink eraser, like a school eraser or whatever, that's what the eraser is intended for. So that's all it's gonna be able to do. Like I have never been able to get a white eraser to gently pick up graphite and dull something. Unless I'm like just slamming in the graphite into the paper and destroying all the teeth to the paper, and then I have just this excess amount of graphite. Generally when I am drawing, I tend to use a couple more tools to my advantage, mainly a blending stump and maybe a darker pencil. But I mean, I really don't need those. As you can see in this drawing, at some point I'm using my finger, and that gets the job done. It's not the greatest, but you know, it's able to push around the graphite like I need it to. And if I need it to go a little bit darker, then I'll just go over with my pencil again. Once you learn different tricks with a pencil and eraser, you learn very quick that those are the most useful assets when drawing. For example, when you're shading with a pencil, you have so many different ways of shading, not just on the flat and creating this textured shading effect, but if you're to crosshatch or line shade or dot or swirl, right, that those give you ample different textures. For example, like crosshatching is great for fabric, right, or cloth, something where you know it's a woven product, right? Like that's what it legitimately looks like, where fibers are interweaving with each other to create a crosshatch effect. If you were to like get a thin, like a loosely knitted piece of cloth, like that's what you're gonna find is just threads overlapping each other in a crosshatch formation. And with skin, you want it to be a smoother texture, so you're gonna rub the graphite around to get that very smooth transition between dark and light. So that's great for when you want to, rub your finger into the drawing or use a blending stump, something along those lines. Swirling shades are great for trees because that can replicate leaves or something like that, or even like a fuzzy object, let's say. The list goes on and on and on. It's just how you decide you want to do that is up to you. One of the nice things about art is it's very forgiving on the right or wrong category. There is no right or wrong. It's just whatever you do. One of the best things about erasers when it comes to adding to drawings is they are the perfect device for creating highlights. They really have a crisp edge for your highlights, and you can always smooth those out if you really want to. But you can kind of see it in this drawing, hopefully, what I'm talking about, because I do use the kneaded eraser to just give it a highlighted edge to the character. So these are just some things to think about. A lot of this stuff is just trial and error. It's all up to you on how you want to go about it. These are just methods that I find help me and I know work for me. I realize a lot of these are just basic tips, but to be honest, the basic tips are the most important stuff, right? They are what produce a lot of the artwork. Whether you're painting, inking, using graphite, whatever sort of art you are doing, you will always have those basic methods of application. But yeah, for the most part, I think this is going to be the end of the video. Sorry if it's a little bit short. There's going to be a lot of editing through it. I'll make sure to put a photo of the finished piece up there so you guys get a full detail of it. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and take care.